Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by former professional athlete turned wellness and spiritual expert, Pavel Stuchlik. The name of his company is Noah Anon, and he talks about personal growth and, shares his story about how he went from being a professional athlete to wellness and enlightenment. So we're going to be talking to him about his journey, everything that he's up to. So Pavel, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much as well. So honored and grateful to be here.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So I'm born and raised in Czech Republic. I have probably lived 5 lives before I was 30 years old. And, since a very young age, I've been searching for answers. I was following what the normal, society norms would be, so to speak. And it made me very depressed, unhappy, and unhealthy. And essentially, I basically had like a 3 major pivotal moments. The first one was from an early age, being exposed to spirituality, shamanism, yoga, and different sorts, which was really prompted by my mother. And that kind of gave me the foundation to a deeper purpose, understanding, or searching of what is the true meaning of life. And then I wanted to become a professional athlete. I kind of took all of that on a back burner and wanted to be a normal kid and accept it. And essentially, I did make it as a professional athlete. And I also was forced to start my first business because not having enough means to support cycling. And I start trading between Alibaba and eBay at a very young age of 17 years old. And essentially, I grew it into a very substantial company. And it took me into a complete health collapse. And that happened in a Czech national race when I was about 18 years old. And I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue, Epstein-Barr. I had a chronic strep. And every 2 weeks I was sick. And it got to a point where I had a suicidal thoughts and really deep loss of meaning of life. And essentially, it brought me into the path of biohacking and health and wellness and Wim Hof, the Iceman. And after cycling, I basically put all of my endurance into business. And so for the next 5 or 6 years, I was building a variety of different companies in America. And the biggest success was Orange Theory Fitness, where I had almost 100 locations under my belt. And I hit the same roadblock again. I was depressed. I got divorced. I was unhappy and sick. And essentially, I was like, I've been here before, and why is this repeating again? And so what it led me on was journey through self-transformation. And so every 3 months or so, I have committed myself to do something ridiculous outside of my comfort zone. And so I essentially start following all of these teachers and shamans and gurus that had, the answer to whatever it was: healthy mind, healthy emotions, healthy body. And so I would book myself a flight every 3 months somewhere that I've never been before and put myself through some really crazy things, such as samurai camp or Zen master training, or 5 days or 10 days, 5 times total, in complete darkness with no food in the middle of Thailand. And essentially, the first time I went into a dark room led into my third pivotal moment, and that was re-identifying who I am and who I want to be. And so it was day 7 out of the 10 days that I lost it. I started crying and purging and went to this beautiful state of bliss. And for the first time in my life, all of the monkey brain, all of the clutter of how I'm not good enough and how I'm doing something wrong just went away. And it was so clear. I got this message to create Noah Aon. Noah means movement, and Aeon is all or none. And it symbolizes duality. And up until that point, I just lived in this never-ending match of, ping pong or tennis, where my life would be in a immense highs and immense lows. And so I knew there is another way, and that was harmony. That was finding the balance. That was to face all of the things that keep on repeating in my life so I can re-see them anew. And essentially, I walked out of the dark room and I started this company. And the message was clear. You can't just keep all these tools for yourself. You've got to share it with others. And so I started sharing this in small little, workshop settings, then immersive experiences, then lectures, then podcasts, TVs. And essentially, I grew it over the past 7 years into this incredible movement to unify the world one person at a time through all of these modalities, all of these different tool sets that I've learned. And so, what we do today, we have an incredible digital community. We also have over 100 events a year all across the world. We constantly tour like a rock stars, but in these transformative workshops. And then we also created a consciousness expansion corner that we call it, which is different biohacking products that can help, whatever it's meditation, mitochondria support, sleep support. We kind of took that whole holistic approach to life and put it through all that we're doing today.
Okay, well, you talked a little bit about biohacking. Explain to the listeners what biohacking is and how you used it or use it now.
Yeah, so it's just a fancy term, something that Dave Asprey is claimed to be the father of biohacking, whom I worked with, and until today collaborate with. And so I got exposed to his work maybe 10 years ago. And essentially, what it means is that you take charge of the inner world, your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health, but also you take charge of the outer world, the environment around you, and you take the cutting edge science, the most advanced, medical support, mental health support, and you use it based on your personalized data in advantage to basically hack your system to the optimal health, happiness and harmony on every level. And so it's just a simple, some people think it's a cheating, some people think it's like a shortcut, but it's quite the opposite. You're just using what we know that works. And instead of you, taking 10 years to get results, you can do it extremely effectively and quickly.
Okay, well, you also talk about spiritual entrepreneurship, integrating a business success with a purpose driven life. So, explain to the listeners what that means.
Yeah, no, so, part of this journey, it became clear that once you figure out your healthy body, your healthy mindset, your emotions, your traumas, and you connect back to the slow, subtle frequencies through meditation, breath work, you start realizing that you're not in it just for yourself. And so what I've discovered, I used to just follow the regular, you know, profit-driven mindset and scaling companies and growing them, all based on profits. And what I teach now and how we live by in our company as well, we lead with purpose. We lead with a greater why, greater sense of mission, which leads to profits eventually as well, and sometimes in a greater extent than, being in a regular companies. And essentially, in this journey, I had to rediscover what is my passion, what is my purpose, and also what is the legacy? How do I want to make means in life? And so, in three of these buckets, we all have passions, but because how busy we are, because what we're doing in this world, we always have everything come first before us. And so, Number one is identifying what is that passion, that burning desire, that time that you lose yourself in timelessness because you want to bring that into your everyday life. For me, that was music, that was dance. And so when I walked out of the dark room and I rediscovered this about myself, I learned how to produce music. I learned how to DJ and how to curate these experiences now because that's when I feel the most at flow. I feel like I lose the sense of myself. I am completely free of all the desires and pain and suffering. And essentially, every single day, I try to bring some music, some sound, some dancing. For some people, this might be being an artist. Other people, they're writers. Other people, they create podcasts. No matter what that is, it's crucial that we have it on everyday basis because this is a big piece of longevity, big piece of overall happiness. The second part is purpose. And for me, that was how do I give all of this knowledge and information away to people? And so for me, I experienced that through workshops, retreats. I feel most at purpose when I'm on the stages and I get to see, people having a breakthroughs. They cry, they have a huge results. And so that's what drives me. That's the driving factor of my why. And then the legacy is how do we make means with living in service? And essentially, for me, it's the combination of all that I do, including our e-commerce. And, when you follow your passion, you link it with purpose, then that takes you closer and closer into, creating a true legacy and living in your mission, living with your heart. And I know this might be, a naive at first, and it might be difficult at first for somebody, just now figuring this out and how do we pay bills. And so, what I always suggest is you start with 30 to 60 minutes a day, 1% to 4% of your time as you grow it, you spend on your highest dreams, on your passion, on your purpose. Now, without you taking the time for yourself to actually identify what even makes your heart truly sing, it is really sometimes difficult in especially situations when we, don't have a food to eat close to where and place to stay. And I've been there, I've multiple times in my life generated millions of dollars, but I've also lost everything until I found this balanced way of living. And so it is possible. It takes time, it takes effort, and it takes choice for someone to embark on this journey through self-transformation.
Well, talk about how dark retreats and I might say this word wrong, but iboga can help with personal transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. So, whatever it's a dark room retreat, whatever it's a silent retreat, whatever it's just spending time in cabin, hiking, it's really the silence and solitude is the main intention of this. Now, for me, I found the medicine through dark room. So maybe to reverse back, at first I was seeking all kinds of different support. My depression was really bad and I did not see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I also knew that I'm not going to take any medical support or any antidepressants because I know how far and deep that can take you. And so I was on a mission to figure out a solution. So I went around the world and I did, ayahuasca, peyote, bufo, cambo, basically all of the major plant medicine. And it wasn't until I went to South Africa and I experienced the full Iboga journey. I went on this trip actually because of my brother. So my brother was an addict and he was literally part of cartel. He was as far, gone as it gets. And this one day I just called him and I said, brother, do you want to be helped? And he was literally messed up on whatever mixture of drugs at that day. And he said yes. And so that yes triggered a response that I basically put him on the flight that same night to fly to South Africa to these two female shamans that specialize for the last 30 years in, bringing people back through these major, breakthroughs. And no matter how far or deep or painful people might be, this could be as simple as just getting rid of a negative habits that are not even as far as, alcoholism or drug addict. This could just be a simple self-limiting beliefs. And what Iboga does, or what they do is they take you on a 10-day journey. They first detox you, they cleanse you because you have to have your liver extremely clean before you can even take that. And essentially, on day 5, they give you a hero dose of psilocybin. That's to prep you before the journey. And then day 7, you actually do the full Iboga journey. Iboga can take up to 3 days. So for some people, it's brutal. For other people, it's very loving and kind. Um, for me, thankfully, it was extremely beautiful. I did not have any adverse effects or any pain going through. Such as, in ayahuasca, I went through a lot of emotional pain compared to that. And essentially, what happened to my brother he ended up staying there for 3 months to reintegrate into regular life. And within about a year, he quit everything. He now hasn't drank for 2 years. He has a totally new life. He started his own business. And so, when I see somebody that completely turned his life around, it's just beautiful to see. Now, for a regular person that's just wondering, okay, I don't have such a, deep issue in my life, I highly suggest silence, solitude, whatever it's vipassana, whatever it's finding a dark room. I'm actually working on building a dark room in Miami on a regenerative farm, which will be done sometimes in end of 2025, early 26. And essentially, the goal is that you unhook from the busy, busy world so you can get clear. You can go deep inside and really reassess your life. What is serving you, what is not. And truly, if you want to start today, question everything. Start every morning with a simple journaling. Write down what bothers you, what you love about yourself, and start getting into a habit of using gratitude. Gratitude has been proven to rewire your brain. And when you start the day with so much gratitude for place to stay, food to eat, clothes to wear, just the simple things, and then you build it and build it until you truly feel it, then you will start living in a state of constant gratitude, which then completely alters, no matter how bad or situations might be, you're in this place of surrender, empowerment, and that power is what allows you to face things from a calm mind rather than the reactive mind of our life.
Let's take a quick break.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
So discuss the science of breath work. Talk about how breathing can help with healing and help people achieve a higher state of consciousness.
Yeah, so breath is life. So after all of these things that I've done in the world, I've actually I rarely use any psychedelics. Maybe every once in a while, microdose in like a long, 7+ day tours when we have to be on a mic every single day. But it all came back to breath. And so for me, this started about 8 years ago. I went into a Wim Hof winter excursion in Poland, and I walked in there mildly sick, and I walked out of there completely healed. And it was everything against what, grandma would tell me, don't go to cold and, everything that we're taught. And essentially, one of the breakthroughs I've had was the power of breath. Breath can be psychedelic. Breath can access these different brainwave states that can alter our subconscious mind. And so majority of the issues that we have is we live on an autopilot. 95% of all of our thoughts is just repetition. And 80% of our thoughts of the 95% are negative. So imagine if we're living in a constant world of mental toxicity that then, translates into physical toxicity and emotional toxicity. Everything works in a feedback. And that feedback is directly determined and correlated to your breath. So to give you an example, there's two different types of breath. There's the subtle breathing, and then there's the deep breathing. Now, subtle breathing is something you can do while you're driving, while you're working out, while you're, reading a book. And the most important breath to just be able to come back to as frequently as possible is a 6 by 6 rhythm. What that means is you want to observe your breathing about 6 seconds on inhale through your nose and 6 seconds on exhale out your nose. Now, you can start it right now as you're listening to us because this long extended breath has been scientifically proven to increase your heart rate variability, response to your stress. It also has been proven to lower down your stress. It also can help you with focus. And most importantly, it brings the conscious mind into the forefront of all of your choices that you're making. Now, to give you an example, whenever we go on a phone or if somebody crosses in front of you in a car, you have an option, to react and lose the sense of your breath and tense up in your body, or what I like to call proact, which is you come back to your breath. You just view every situation as an opportunity to surrender, to release, to let go, and to learn from. And so this is why your breath, when you inhale, it increases your heart rate. When you exhale, it decreases your heart rate. It's the key to silence. It's the key to the theta brainwaves, which is known to be that meditative, restorative mind that we can access then our subconscious mind where all of the mental patterns and belief system is held. Now, the other one that's really been known, especially if you have anxiety, it's the 4-7-8 rhythm. So you can simply inhale in through your nose for about 4. You hold your breath for 7, and then you exhale out your mouth for 8. You repeat it for about 3 to 5 minutes and just stay focused on relaxing into your body on this particular rhythm. And it's going to immediately take that overly thinking high beta brainwave state down. And if you are in a panic state, panic like, experience or something that's happening to you, the key is that you focus on a long, deep exhalations. So ideally, you just blow air out of your mouth and you keep on blowing it out as long and as deep as possible. It's going to slow down your heart rate and it's going to bring you into parasympathetic nervous system, which is known as the rest and digest, instead of the sympathetic nervous system, which is known for, high energy and stress. Now, then you've got the whole deep breathing, and essentially there's variety of different techniques, whatever it's the holotropic, the Wim Hof, retention breathing, power breathing. There's also shamanic breathing, two-part breath. There's many different ones, and those are the ones that you don't want to do while driving, standing up, or operating any machine. These are the ones that you can get lightheaded and you start feeling a lot of burning sensation. I'm happy if we want to add to the show notes, we can give some free resources so people can kind of test this home. And this is when things can get really, really deep. When you go into these alternative states, a lot of people have emotion. Some people release anger. So many times in our events, people release grief. So it's really kind of getting those stuck emotions and these repeated patterns out of our system through the deep breathing.
Okay, let's also talk about modern strategies. Give some best practice tips where people can, detoxify from EMF and just survive and make it in this digital world.
Yeah, so the simplest one that you can start today, I call it the process of unhooking. And so I follow this beautiful cycle because everything in life is cyclical. Whatever it's the lesson we're learning, whatever it's the seasons we're going through, whatever it's the same type of mental patterns or moon, it's all lives in these cycles. Now, in order for us to reassess those cycles and also be able to choose a new experience, we've got to take these times off. And so for me, the first half an hour or an hour of the day, I just spend it by myself. I usually try to wake up before anyone. I go into breath work, visualization, gratitude, and meditation. And that starts that day. So that way you can choose and visualize what's ahead of you. It gives you the handle on having your own choices instead of having the world, making those choices for you, living from that reactive state. Now, once a week, I take a full day off and I take it off from the digital. I do not use cell phones, TVs, or computers. I spend the first half a day completely in nature as well, just reconnecting to the earth. Earthing is a beautiful tool for that. And then I also generally physically detox. So I don't eat any physical food. I just drink water once a week. Now, once a month, I take 4 days off. So it's the bigger cycle to reassess the month before and the month after. Now, what I find is this is a little bit longer break off. So that way you don't experience burnouts. And once a year, I spend 10 days in darkness, or I take 15 days completely off. And that is on the grand cycle per year. Now, what I found is I literally can keep handle of all of those different major choices, and I don't experience burnouts. I don't experience any more of that old suffering, pain, not sure where I'm going or heading, because I take fully charge and responsibility for every single experience that comes through my way. So this is a process of unhooking, something very simple. Now, when it comes to technologies, I love using something called a neurovisor. We have it on our website and we added it in because it's light stimulation that's right in front of your forehead that induces the theta brainwaves. So for people that have a hard time meditating, people that have a hard time, maybe they have a memory problem or even Alzheimer's, it's an incredible tool to train your brain and to be able to produce new neuroplastic changes. Whatever it's a new neurons or habit formation, I use that tool every single morning when I wake up and I combine that with breath and meditation. Then I love using red light therapy. We've actually chosen something called a Thrive, and it's directly connected to your gut and brain. It's actually ironic. I'm using it right now as we're speaking here, because I didn't get enough time to be on the sun. And I like to combine it with methylene blue, which is known as a dye, but methylene blue and red light, it accelerates one another because it photomodulates and it can increase your mitochondria production by 30%. It's anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antioxidant, and it also helps with memory consolidation. And so these two tools together are incredible pair. I never believed in EMF until I moved to Houston during COVID. And essentially, when I moved there, I could not sleep. I started having a mild depression again. And even though I was so healthy already at that time, I kept on having these iffy anxiety type feelings. And so then I went on a big search to start researching what are EMFs, which by the way stands for electromagnetic frequencies, that are produced by Wi-Fi, cell phone towers, 5G, um, Neuralink type, Wi-Fi's as well. It's also produced by smart meters or any smart appliances, electric cars. Literally, EMFs are everywhere. Now, everybody is sensitive to EMF at some level. There's over 6,000 studies proving that it's detrimental to our health. And whatever it's DNA repair, whatever it's the sleep cycle, it's really something that has been hushed down because of the telecommunication companies don't want this information out. And so I bought every product on the market until I came to WaveGuard, which essentially it's called a key tech, and it works on a term called depolarization. The inventor was the inventor of the year in the European Union in 2022 because of this groundbreaking way of using nature against the harmful EMF. And so that is something that also we carry on our website, because anytime we believe in anything that actually works and has over 29 studies to prove it, we work with it, we support it, and we also educate people on it. So I think those are kind of like the top three products I would really, really dive into. Alternatively, you could look into blue light because of circadian rhythm. We don't spend it. We actually there's a lot of there's a lot of madness around blue light, but it's the artificial blue light we get from computers or TVs or fluorescent light that are bad for us. But when it comes to first thing in the morning, sun actually imitates blue light, and that is what tells our circadian rhythm to start and also to know when to sleep. So anybody that has issues with sleep, blue light is a huge, huge tool. And of course, you can just go on a sun first thing in the morning. We just don't wake up with sun anymore. And in the winter, it's of course even that much harder to get the right amount of light as well.
Okay, tell us about any upcoming projects or current projects that you and your company are working on that people need to be aware of.
Yeah, I think the most exciting project is we're building something called a cohesion, and it's a EEG testing uh, for your brain, combined with light stimulation and therapy, powered by AI to be able to determine what is the right light stimulation and sound for your brain to make a new patterns. And so, if you're familiar with Peloton, where they send you a bike and you have a real life class with tracking and metrics. We're doing exactly the same, but for your brain. And our whole mission is to bring million people into a group coherence to create a quantum leap on Earth. And I think the that's kind of something that's coming in next year. And but something to like start with us right away, we are on School, SKOOL. And if you find System Reset with Noah Aon, that is the best way to start. There's a free version of this where people are supported. We're creating a community that's self-governing. No matter what issues people might have, we're on a mission to unite these people so we can support one another. And I think that's the best way to kind of, get something that you can then learn more and more to get from.
Or throw out your contact info so people can keep up with everything that you're up to.
My bad. So it's so our website is noaaon.com. It's NOAAON.com. And then Noah Aon Official is for our social media. And feel free to reach out to us anytime you wish. We can also add into the show notes the actual information about the community and beyond.
Yep, we'll definitely throw the website in there. Close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Yeah, so I would say, this life is can be incredible. And as my first part of my life, I've learned all the lessons through the gutter, through suffering, pain, divorce, disease. And, now I'm learning the same lessons, but from love, from health, from happiness and passion. And so, take that time to really identify what are these cycles that keep on coming back to you, whatever it's mental patterns, whatever it's what people tell you, the same type of relationships, or let's say it's lack of abundance. And whenever that comes to you, I want you to really watch and pay attention. Bring those things to the awareness that don't work first and start adapting new changes within that. It is going to take a little bit of a time, a little bit of a process and adjustment and discomfort. But once you learn how to operate out of the comfort zone, your life will start working for you rather than against you. So we can do it. Many, many people in the world are doing this. And I cannot wait to be on the other side with you to help as many people as possible.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. NoahAon.com. Please be sure to follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible who are looking for wellness, and spirituality, and you'll be able to hear a great story by Pavel. Make sure you jump on your favorite podcast app, follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. If you have any guest or suggestion topics, Curtis Jackson 1978 at att.net is the place to send them. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And Pavel, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much as well.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.